Morris is charged with 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts to a child, according to the Oklahoma Attorney General. By Adrian Ashford and Matt Kyle, the Dallas Morning News staff writers. Robert Preston Morris, the founder of Gateway Church, has been indicted on 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts to a child, the Oklahoma Attorney General's office said Wednesday. Morris, 63, resigned from his position as senior pastor of Gateway in June, several days after Cindy Clemisher publicly alleged he sexually abused her from the ages of 12 to 17 in the 1980s. Clemisher told the Dallas Morning News that Morris met her family after visiting their church in Oklahoma while he was a traveling preacher. At the time the alleged abuse began, Morris was 21 years old, married, and had a young child. When Clemisher first publicly alleged Morris abused her, legal experts told the news the statute of limitations for a criminal case against him may have expired. In a Wednesday news release, the Oklahoma Attorney General said that was not the case, as Morris was not a resident or inhabitant of Oklahoma at any time, according to the release. Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond briefly represented Clemisher in 2007 when she sought a lawsuit against Morris. After almost 43 years, the law has finally caught up with Robert Morris for the horrific crimes he committed against me as a child, Clemisher told the news on Wednesday. Now, it is time for the legal system to hold him accountable, she said. My family and I are deeply grateful to the authorities who have worked tirelessly to make this day possible and remain hopeful that justice will ultimately prevail. There can be no tolerance for those who sexually prey on children, Drummond said in the Wednesday news release. This case is all the more despicable because the alleged perpetrator was a pastor who exploited his position. The victim in this case has waited far too many years for justice to be done. Tra Wilbanks, chair of Gateway's Elder Board, said in a statement to the news that the church is aware of the indictment. We are grateful for the work of the justice system in holding abusers accountable for their actions, he said. We continue to pray for Cindy Clemisher and her family, for the members and staff of Gateway Church, and for all those impacted by this terrible situation. Morris has not responded to letters and at least 5 phone calls from the news seeking comment. The news called 3 phone numbers listed in public records for Morris Wednesday and left voicemails at 2 of them and did not immediately receive a response. The news called and emailed attorneys representing Morris in a different case and did not immediately hear back. After the abuse allegations became public, Gateway announced it retained the law firm Haynes, Boone, to conduct an independent investigation into those allegations. The investigation resulted in the removal of 4 elders and numerous staff members who had at least some knowledge of the Morris abuse allegations, Wilbanks said at a service in November. At that service, Wilbanks said Gateway was cooperating with a criminal investigation that did not involve the church's current leadership. He also said Gateway had a failure of culture. We must be honest with ourselves and acknowledge that our culture allowed this truth to be buried for too long, Wilbanks said of Morris' alleged abuse. Since Morris' resignation, Gateway has faced a cultural reckoning. The church has lost roughly a quarter of its weekly attendees following the scandal. Several staff members spoke to the news about what Gateway was like before Morris' exit. They said the church had a narcissistic culture where criticism was silenced and staffers were left with lasting trauma. Wilbanks told the news Gateway is listening to former staffers' concerns. I think we're going to be better going forward because of these lessons that we've learned over the last 8 months, he said. We had been off for a while, and this was a wake-up call.